what's the word? Moisturized.
Thank
that's
you.
what I'm saying.
Praise.
There's not a shine, but they're moisturized. They're not ashy. They're not going to watch this and be like, Morgan's lips are ashy. They're not going to.
Grateful.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Rose Gold Goof podcast. Not sure where my eyeline is because the ring light is blinding me a little bit. But anyway, we're so glad to have you back. As you can see, we're visual today. So you can lay eyes on us as you wish. And this is oh my God, I should have said it right away and I did not. I said all that and then I was supposed to say, and Morgan Norris is joining me today because this is take 2.5. So let's try that again. And Morgan Norris is joining me today.
Hey, baddies.
Hey, the lovely Morgan Norris.
Oh,
welcome back, Mooks. How you?
Thank you. I'm doing pretty good.
You're pretty wonderful. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'm always astounded at your beauty.
Oh my goodness.
Even though I know you're already beautiful, it's like I know she's coming beautiful, and then you show up beautiful, and I'm like, wow.
Well, I think you're very beautiful, so the feeling's mutual.
I love when she shortens words, like kind of like how Gretchen was trying to make fetch happen, but she actually makes nugs and the of happen. Yeah. And she said neg, which is short for negative. Love that. So she is a word crafter. Want to say crafter?
Sure, I like. But who's saying all that?
I don't know.
If it's nuggets, nug. But that can mean different.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that can mean different things.
But it's cute when you say it. When you said, when I'm getting my nugs hot out the of, that was very cute.
Thank you.
I liked it. So anyway, me and Morgan decided that you guys deserve some video footage of our conversation this time around. So this episode will be edited by my nephew, Jair, who is 17, and he's awesome at editing. I was telling Morgan he used to sell TikTok edits.
Ooh, that's amazing.
And he does a little bit of editing for his own YouTube videos. So I was hoping he could add some sound effects, some zoom ins. Don't want to dictate your creativity, right. But if you could just, make it look good, that'll be great. So anyway, we were talking about a candle that was released by Bath and Body that Morgan sent me, and what happened with this candle that was supposed to be
released and did not give me. Yeah, so
there is or was a candle
never to be again
called, actually people called it the Clandle because there was a snowflake on a candle from Bath and Body Works. If you're not familiar with Bath and Body Works, it's a store that sells you can things to lotion. Girl, what? It's not a different language. It's not hard. Wow. They sell Bath and Body Works, girl. If you want to take a bath, they got some laundry detergent now, some fine fragrance mist, just to smell good. It's a nice store, whatever. Anyway, they have candles. They're very famous for too. And this one was called Snowed In, and maybe we should call it Canceled now because people were saying that the snowflake looked like the Ku Klux Klan. And I'm going to say it didn't.
It didn't.
Your floss reaching. I love that brand, by the way. Floss, the Reach Floss.
Oh, yes.
But they are definitely reaching for the stars Buzz Lightyear. Because I think that, and someone mentioned this as I was scrolling through TikTok, if you want to be mad, there's something that you can be mad about.
Oh, my goodness. Let me print you a list.
So the articles I was reading said if people ordered it, their order was canceled because the candle was basically canceled. So I'm sure you can look it up on the Google and see what it looked like. And it probably smelled so good. Snowed In sounds cozy.
They have really good smelling candles. I was saying before that I can't use their lotions and body washes and things like that. I do love their fragrance line. They've stepped up their game. Shout out to Bath and Body Works. But I'm going to shame you a little bit just because the stuff in their candles and lotions and sprays is a bit toxic. See, I can do it too. I got it. So it's just funny to me that people are stuck on the design. And it's not even like the candle had little KKK members, out there. It was just a snowflake that looked like the hoods. But again, it didn't look like that to me until it was proposed to me that these kind of look like KKK masks to you? And yeah, a little, but now that the thoughts in my head, my brain kind of, so it just goes to show, like, sometimes you're not offended or thinking about something until somebody tells you you should be offended. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be very careful when I say that. Very careful, because slow that down. Because sometimes people take that and go left. Like, that doesn't mean everything should fly. There are very much things that brands put out that are unacceptable, that are racist, that are offensive, and somebody in the design team should be using their head a little bit more. That's why diversity is important. But this is just, like she said, I hope they see a chiropractor, because, like, you must have hurting yourself. You must have hurting yourself.
You must have hurt yourself. You must have hurt yourself.
In Texas, ain't no holding.
Ding, 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 ding.
I know some sweet tea around the corner. Not ding, 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 ding. Was that a banjo? Ding, 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 ding. If I ever hear instruments say ding, 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 I was like,
I swear banjos smell like ding, 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 ding. No?
Something like that. Well, I knew it was a banjo, so obviously.
See?
Like, girl, argue with myself. Like, what? It was a band.
It was a band.
So to me, the snowflakes looked like the ones you would cut up in, like, kindergarten or something. They'd be like, Mom, put it on the refrigerator, whatever. Like, and then, so come on.
Yeah, it was very elementary design. Like, if anything, it should be like, the design team couldn't come up with, like, a beautiful, intricate snowflake. Like, you could do that on AI.
What if it was an intern that was like, this is my big break, and now
your break is broken?
but it's not, to me, you cannot think of everything.
No,
like,
that's what I mean by, like, there's, like, having a diverse panel enough to catch certain things. Like, I've been on teams where I'm like, oof, I don't know if you want to say that. I don't know if you want to do that, because as a Black woman, I would have heard it this way. But that's one of those things where it's like, you really had to be, focusing in on it. I don't know who got, and sometimes, like I said, some things just spread where, like, people just jump on the bandwagon where they're like, well, you know what? This does look like that, and I'm going to complain also. So,
and they may agree because they don't want to be canceled. So because I'm Black, and if other Black people were offended, well, I better be offended too.
Yeah, because then I can't be trusted if I'm not offended. Because, like I said, but there's so many other things to, like, legitimately be upset about, legitimately be offended. And I won't bring up a bunch of them right now.
Yeah.
But, like, there's certain things where I'm like, it's not that deep. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep. I don't know. But if we're arguing about candles, maybe Jesus does need to touch down in Hawaii, like you said.
So that was actually a joke from what we were talking about a little bit earlier. There was a man that was saying that he was on TikTok, and you could just tell he couldn't wait to get this news out. He said that Jesus just touched down in Hawaii. And I'm like, I am still here eating chicken tenders. Jesus is not just going to reveal himself to the Hawaiians, okay? All eyes will see him knock it off. Because enough. Seriously.
I just don't understand how you could understand the glory of God and Jesus' return as it depicted in the Bible, and think that you'd be even able to reach for your phone and have the wherewithal to record it and post it in the presence of Jesus. Like, that's the first thing you're doing.
He may not even be a follower of Jesus. And, like, true. It could be, and this part's not funny, it could be a mental health issue. It could be you are literally trying to sway people, just being weird. Because I just feel like the devil, I know the devil, he'll just throw things out to distract. And, like, I looked at him, I'm like, Dave, that wasn't his name, but I'm like,
we're protecting
because you're privacy. In the forest right now. Who knows what you're doing in the forest? Go home.
Yes, yeah. Like, why are you out here? How long you've been wondering about the forest, Dave?
Yeah, and did Jesus give you, like, oh, you got 15 minutes to record?
Yeah.
That didn't stop. You're doing too much. Like, y'all, we have to be real about all of these things. Like, some of this stuff is silly that we see. You have to click the button, not interested.
Between the candle and Jesus in Hawaii, that's like one of those. I feel like those are the things that come like back to back in your feed, and then you tell yourself that's enough internet for today.
No.
Like you just got done reading through the rabbit hole of the candle
Mhm.
monstrosity, and like you've seen everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast give their 2 cents on why the candle is offensive.
Yeah.
Then you take a break and you scroll to back to the main feed, and you see Dave in Hawaii talking about Jesus, and then you say to yourself, and it's time for bed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to close the app. Actually, you know what? Let me take the app off my phone for a few days. I
Let
think
me
I've
read
had
the
enough.
word.
I'm actually grateful for apps like that because for videos like that, because they steer me right back to the Bible app. Because I get to a point where I'm like, that's enough revelation for today. That's enough.
Right.
That's enough for y'all proving scripture to be right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's funny. So that's what's going on in the world today, according to the Rose Gold Goof podcast. Anyway, so today's topic is, we don't know the title because I always put the title in afterwards, but I guess I'll just call it like, are you a girl's girl or something to that effect. So I was asking Morgan what her thoughts are on the whole discourse about girl's girl, but we're going to start with the AI overview definition of what it says.
Yes. Okay. So a girl's girl is a woman who supports other women and prioritizes female friendships. The term can have both positive and negative connotations. My nose is itching. Anyway, one positive is it can be helpful and protective, and then one negative is it could be being pressured to always support peers.
Okay, I was waiting for you to get to the neg before the neg. See,
Yeah.
I was like, what's the negative part of like being, female community driven?
Do you want me to just read? It's like 4 of them.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, read it.
Okay, so the positive, it's only 4, and it's 3 of the negative. So positive is be helpful and protective. That's a positive of being a girl's girl. Encourage, validate, and support other women. Respect female etiquette and the girl code. Be kind, compassionate, and ethical. And then a negative of being a girl's girl, according to the AI overview, is being pressured to always support peers, creating comparison and competition, and being weaponized to judge or shame others.
Yeah. It's funny because in the internet discourse of the whole girls, and remember, I think we talked about, I don't know which podcast it was. I think it was The Man versus Bear, where we talked about being chronically on the internet and how a lot of these arguments sometimes are strictly on the internet, and they're not actually happening in our real lives, and they're not actually affecting us or being a part of our immediate sphere of influence. So it's not really necessarily you have to address right now or be upset about right now in the moment, because in your real life, no one's actually arguing about that. But from time to time, I'll get into those conversations because I've said this before, and I think it's in the podcast bio. But I call myself a girl's girl. Female community has always been very important to me. And now that I'm grown into my ministry life, I want to help other women find that community with other women, because I've seen the damage that it does when women don't have each other to lean on. And, and it's different when you just gravitate towards one sex or the other. And I'll never fault like other girls or other women for being friends with males or just having a male dominant circle, because I don't always think it means the stereotypical, like, oh, she must be hooking up with them or they want something from her. I don't think that. And I also think, like you said, the devil just throws things in society. Yeah. I think that's a tool of the devil to make women feel like they can't be friends with men or vice versa, because there's going to be some, inappropriate level to it at some point, because there has to be, because we're, flesh and blood and we're going to do this, whatever. I think that we're missing in that regard the fact that, men could be our brothers, our father figures, our uncles, and etc. But what we went into in the other podcast was that sometimes it gets so warped again. The enemy loves to steal, and turns into something else where girls are no longer feeling that protection, that brotherly love, that safety with men. So having a female-centered community is safer for some women. And then for other women, it's like they've experienced so much cattiness and jealousy and the pitting against each other, that they don't want anything to do with other women. And when I call myself a girl's girl, I never say it out of I've never had issues with girls. I've never been bullied. I've never made someone else feel less than. That's not even close to true. But what I will say is, along those rocky roads of my female friendships, is that I've seen more good than bad. And even with the bad, it's taught me other things about myself that will prepare me to be in relationships with men, as far as like romantic or dating or whatever, and just about communicating and just being a good person in general, and how to navigate how people treat you, how to express your own feelings in, like, a safe environment. I just feel like it's just so important, because women go through so many unique things, and men are great. Good men are awesome, but they don't. I can't talk to them about everything,
Right,
and they're
right.
not going to understand. So, for as far as like your concern and your experience, and like, would you claim the term girl's girl? Would you say you're in the middle, or like, what has your experience been when it comes to like being in friendships with other girls?
So I would say I'm Switzerland on the issue. It means you're neutral. Anyway, so
Shout out to my Twilights.
the only the only problem, it's not even a problem I had with being a girl's, or the term girl's girl. I just haven't had. So when it says a woman who supports other women, check, okay, and then prioritizes female friendships, I don't prioritize female friendships.
Mhm.
Just due to what I've been through. But I'm grateful for God because I'm more mature in that area now,
Mhm.
where I know that just because I meet a woman and we are starting to build a friendship doesn't mean that that friendship is going to go down the same path and hurt, and it being two, because I had girl, I'm about to say two, that's three. I had two instances where it was me and a friend,
Mhm.
a third person came in and they were against me,
Yeah,
and
I've seen
still don't
that.
know what I did to this day on both occasions. This was many, many moons ago, but the pain used to run really deep.
Mm.
So now I don't want to say I don't care, but I'm leaning towards that when it comes to female friendships. I don't want it to be that way, but I think it's apathetic. Like, I don't
Mm.
have much feeling about female or women friendships.
Mm.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
And I would say that there is a community of women being cultivated right now that I could see, oh, this could probably blossom into a sisterhood or something like that. But I'm really in a space of protecting my heart.
Mm.
And so if more female friendships come, then so be it. But if they don't, so be it as well.
So you're open to the idea of having female friendships. You're just not so crazy about being super, I guess, vulnerable to let that happen again, or you're not even like, where are you at with that?
So I I would say I'm good with being vulnerable. I think
Okay.
I need to shut my mouth a little bit, actually.
You
Like, I don't have to
too?
spill out I don't have to spill out everything. I think I need to take a person to the Lord first
Mm.
before I tell them something, and not even deep and dark. It just something that is close to my heart. Um yeah, this is a very complex
Mm.
conversation. I will say I'm not living in hurt anymore,
Mm.
but I'm also being wise about my
Yeah,
decisions going forward.
which is fair, and I think that's just using discernment
Hmm.
is smart, because the Lord does give us wisdom for a reason. And there are some people that, like, not that you have to have an arm's length, but like, you just have to be wise about what you
Hmm.
share, and it has nothing about like, judging them or just making them feel some type of way that you don't share certain things with them, but it really just being wise. There's some things I wouldn't share with certain people because I feel like they don't they don't know how to process
Mm.
the information, or maybe they don't know how to keep it, no, I don't want to say a secret, but they're not a safe space to confide in, because they will go tell somebody else. And not that I need to be ashamed of anything, but just like, I told you that in
Hmm.
confidence, or maybe something I'm struggling with, and
Right.
I don't have to worry about you telling the next person. I think that's just pure discernment, is to decide, male or female, if I should be telling you so many things or just letting you in.
Hmm.
And my mom always uses the example of the disciples, and just how, he had 12, and then past the 12, who was closer to him past that.
Hmm.
And like, not all 12 were his buddy, but you know what I mean? Because it's not possible, even with a group of 12, which isn't a crazy amount of people,
Right.
but it's enough people to spread yourself too thin
Mm-hmm.
and not really be able to like lock in and have that connection with them, because it's just not possible.
Right.
Especially if you're talking about friendships that are happening around the same time in the same season. It's like somebody's not going to be as close to you as the other person, and it doesn't mean anything against them. It's that natural chemistry you have with that one or two people who you feel like you can, bare your soul to, which essentially ends up being marriage. And like outside of that, you have like your circle. So I think for me, I guess because I've experienced all like the girl hurt, like the intentional girl hurt, because that's the kind that hurts the worst.
Yeah.
That somebody schemed and plotted and put together to make you hurt. Like I've had friends in the past, like when I was growing up, admit to me, I did this to hurt you. And like I would be so confused, because in my head I'm thinking, why would a friend want to hurt me? Like it just didn't, 2 plus 2 didn't equal 4. It just didn't make any sense. And I do I guess the word, I always get empathize and sympathize confused.
Empathy is when, so if you and I both got hit in the face with a baseball, that's crazy. But I was trying to think of something like not too deep, but like then we could empathize with each other.
Yes.
If I was the only one that got hit in the face with a baseball,
I would have to have sympathy. Yes. Okay. Yes. So I empathize with women who've been hurt in that way, and it goes deeper than just the now, because I've been hurt in that way, but I've recovered.
Yeah.
And there's friendships that I speak about with such pain from the past, but our friendships are so great right now. And people are like, well, how are you still friends with these people? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because there's grace for certain things and people. And also we were all children.
Yeah.
Nobody had a frontal lobe in that mug. Like we were all just walking around with soft spots. Like
not.
And your soft spot, may affected me. But, if I had to look through someone else's lens in that time, I may have hurt someone that I was totally unaware of. Now, you doing it intentionally, like I said, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And then for you to say, yeah, I did this to hurt you. Of course I tried to hurt you. And then have no remorse behind it was like, I can see myself standing there dumbfounded in the moment that one of my friends said that to me, where she admitted, yeah, all this was to hurt you on purpose. And then she brought up something that I did to her that I couldn't connect the dots. I didn't understand. It wasn't something intentional. Like a friend of mine confronted her about the way she would treat me. She didn't like that. She felt like I got her cornered, which I did not prompt the friend to do. They were just trying to defend me. And she took that and ran with it for the next few months and just did all these intricate things to really hurt my feelings. And like I said, we were kids at the time, like maybe 8th grade or so. And when she said that, I was just like, what? And in my head, I'm like, I love you. We're friends. Like, why would you want to hurt me intentionally?
Yeah.
And even in adulthood, like I've experienced, women doing things that like feel so intentional. And at this point, we all have frontal lobes. So I don't know how much you're doing that's not intentional for you at least to think, maybe this might hurt her feelings. Yeah. So I understand that. I empathize with women who go that. But to me, it's just not enough to dispel the idea that the Lord can't have fruitful friendships with me that don't come with me having to, tuck my tail between my legs or hide my feelings. And, and we've had conversations about those relationships before. But even in those situations, like I've seen so much restoration or opportunity for me to be bold and have the conversation like, hey, what happened here? And every time I have those conversations or have those interactions, I just eat it as, this is practice. I want to be somebody's wife one day. And if I want to be one of those couples who said we've been married for 20 years, 50 years, 60 years, do you think you're going to get through 60 years of marriage, 20 years of marriage, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years of marriage without having to have a difficult moment where the person may have hurt you? Maybe they did do it intentionally. You know what I mean? You have to practice that relationship somewhere without it costing you physical intimacy or things like that. You know what I mean?
And and that's really good stuff. You made a lot of good bullet points. I would say I've always been a person that was like, I loved community, but I definitely value my alone time. Like I don't need to, hey, you want to go to the bathroom with me? I'm fine, like by myself. I've always been good by myself. So when I do allow somebody to come in and they do some fugazi things, it's like, oh wow. Um yeah, it's just like a, oh wow. And I've learned in my in recent years to be like, God, if you want to restore this friendship, if or brewing friendship that I thought was going to come to a friendship, give me the words to say so we can patch this up.
Yeah.
Because there was a friendship that I tried to restore, but it wasn't reciprocated, and you can't make somebody like
Yeah.
be your friend. So that did hurt, but I'm okay with that. And when I see that person, I mean, I never wanted the worst for them anyway,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, when I see that person, I just know in my mind, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I still pray for them. It female women friendships, like, we as women know how to cut to the core, and perhaps men know how to cut to the core amongst themselves
Yeah.
too. Because some men do all that roasting stuff. I was never a roaster
No, because I'll
because
cry.
I will literally cry and then send you a paragraph on why why would you it was just we would just talk about pie and you turned it into something
Right,
else. You turned
right,
it
right.
into calling me big or
Yeah,
something. So you know and that was personal because you knew that I was
No,
trying to get my
literally.
10K steps in. So
Right,
you knew
right.
about that. Sheila. So not I don't even have a friend named Sheila.
No, Sheilas were harmed in the making of this production.
So it's definitely like women who I don't know what the word is, because it wasn't jealousy or envy, and I don't know if it came to the degree of marvel, but I always looked at, I guess, in admiration at women who really always had girls, like they always had their girls. Like you see on TikTok, like women with like 12 bridesmaids, and I'm like, that's deep. Like,
I'm having trouble mustering up 2.
Right. Like, so I've always like, wow, like that's amazing. And then I scroll and look at how to make a cake in a Instapot or something. I don't know. But it's something that I was always like, wow, like but yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen those TikTok sometimes, because like in the opposite I can relate. And I've had people like say it to me in a negative way, like it's something I plan on getting rid of. Because I used to say, like, and I started saying it's a gift to find community. And there was a point in time where I thought that my high school friends were going to be the only friends I was ever going to have. And it was interesting because one of my friends from high school, we had that conversation about how sometimes her and a few of my other friends feel, less than because of the newer friends that I made or that I have in certain circles that aren't a part of the original circle that I started with. And I basically explained to her, like, that, make new friends and keep the old one silver onesie oak. Like, all of you are valuable to me and have been valuable at pivotal moments of my life. I don't plan on, cutting the bench and starting over every season. People grow apart, but it's not even about that. It's just I'm adding to the community that I have, because I'd be foolish to encounter a fruitful relationship, friendship that goes both ways, not just the person pouring into me and not me pouring into them, but just a life-giving friendship, and turn it away just because I already have a few friendships. But there was a point in time where I pleaded with the Lord and said, are these all the friends I'm ever going to have? Because at one point in time, all my friends, like, things were happening for them. Like, they were dating, they were having children. They were just all seemed to be on this level that I couldn't get to. And I felt bad about being upset that I wasn't, a part of it. And I didn't want them to feel bad about, moving to certain levels. But I just was like, Lord, I need friends. Like, I can't rely on these group of friends to carry me through the rest of my life. Because what I realized, it was, first of all, it was idol worship. And I was putting my friendships on pedestals, and I was making them, essentially where Jesus should be, and making them my everything, which is unfair to them, and bound to fail. But I also was limiting God and the community he can provide. So I started saying, you'll see on my social media all the time when I make longer posts about my friends, that I'll say, like, God doesn't run short of people. And
Amen
it's only, yes. And it's only because I kept having these encounters. And I think this had to start back in, I want to say 2013, 2014. where I just started to just, step out in faith and do different things and be a part of the group and be the only one that I knew there,
Mm-hmm.
and let the Lord like prove and be like, Lord, all right, prove yourself, like prove that, there are people here for me and that I won't always feel like an outcast. And every time he would always come through and I'd meet people. And these aren't people that I've kept, some people I still hang out with, some people I don't see anymore, or we just, we're friendly, we keep somewhat in touch. But in that moment, in that season, they were pivotal to like,
Mm-hmm.
my life, and they in helping me. And again, like you said, like no ill will, but they were just for some people were just for that season. And I loved that season. And then in the next season I met new friends, and some people came with me, some people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize that, the Lord's not going to leave me without community if I ask. Because I remember pleading with the Lord, like, I can't feel this alone, like this, you have to
Mm-hmm.
have your God. You have someone I can be friends with, right?
Yeah.
You have two people I can be friends with. You've given me so many great friends. Am I supposed to, wait on their doorstep until they come home? like
That girl.
like the SpongeBob, where he's like, "Yep, gang's all here."
Oh,
I was like, I can't, I can't do that. I can't expect my friends to be my friends to be the only
mm-hmm.
friends I ever have. And so the Lord was just so, over the last 10 years or so, has just been above and beyond. And I feel like when I talk to certain women, who don't have that circle, like I sound like a broken record, or just like, they're like, well, I've never experienced that. And I'm like, well, that's all I have to compare it to, because I've been alone
Mm-hmm.
before. I've had seasons where I did not have
Yeah.
six friends, or sometimes all them friends are doing something, or they're all like on, like, again, different levels of life that I'm not there yet, or I'm in a different space that they're, and not that anybody's, better than
Right.
anyone else,
Right.
but we're just in different seasons. And so, like, it hurts when people don't have that. Like I said, I'll see those videos. Like I saw one girl's video that like broke my heart, where she's going around Target and she's like, I've never been a part of a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the transitional friend that, people are my friend until they move on to the next part of life. And it
Mm-hmm.
really, oh my God, I cried for her. All
Mm-hmm.
I do is cry for strangers on that app.
I know.
And I just said, Lord, like, every woman deserves to have,
Mm-hmm.
everybody deserves to have, I'm going to cry thinking about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Every girl deserves to have a group of friends.
Yeah.
No girl deserves to feel, nobody deserves to feel like they don't have community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, this is what I want to do. I want to help, other girls find their girls girl group, find their community. Like, yeah, husbands are great, boyfriends are great, guy friends are great, but that's nothing compares to like that sisterhood. And because you have a great mom, who, which I would love to say, like, you're God, I mess up
She's
the
my
word,
best friend.
anomaly, where a psychologist would look at the way you grew up with your mom and think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you'd have tons of girl, because I had the same kind of
Mm-hmm.
mom and the same kind of sister,
Mm-hmm.
where just that's also where my baseline for female
Yeah.
community came from, is that, oh, girls are supposed to be friends, we're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be trustworthy and all these things, because that's what I learned at home, is that you can count on
And I
women.
do agree with those
Yes,
notions. It just
yeah.
hasn't been my reality for a large part of my life.
Now, did that feel unfair compared to the environment that your mother created for you? You know what I mean? Like, so you're coming from an environment where women are supportive, and I'm sure you saw your mom with her sisters, and or sisters,
She has three.
three, yeah, sisters, and just the general way that your mom treated you, like, when you arrived at these friendships that you thought were going to resemble the relationship with your mom in some way, not mom, but you know what I
No,
mean,
yeah.
with other women, were you like, did you feel, betrayed by, like, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to be experiencing, this should be something positive?
I never compared like friendships to like the safeness that I felt with my mom, as far as like I know I could go to my mom and not be judged if I have a question, or if I'm unsure about something, or I like my mom and I can literally just talk about nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
also can talk about the deep things of life. So when I will go out into the world, um I've always, and I'm, God has broken me. I'm still, well, it's, everything has been finished on the cross. So I like
Okay.
to speak and say that I am healed of this. However, in the physical realm, I'm still dealing with the walking it out
Yeah.
of silencing the enemy's voice of saying nobody wants to be your friend. So I've also dealt with that the majority of my life, and I'm now
You're good. I'm not good. You're good.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've also dealt with that feeling that like nobody wanted to be my friend, or like nobody likes me for the majority of my life, and I'm coming out of that feeling now. So sometimes I feel like a baby deer or giraffe, whatever one they show on TikTok when they're just born, learning how to just be accepted, period. Like when someone says they want to hang out with me, accepting that they want to hang out with me.
Yeah.
So when friendships and stuff didn't go how I think that they should go, especially with women, I would be like, well, what happened? I would immediately say, not in a way that was healthy, like, well, let me look introspectively or whatever the right word is and see what I've done wrong. It was panicky. I must have done something wrong. Da da da. Like I completely ignored the times that they hurt me. I always went to the time that I might have said, maybe did I do something here? Did I do something very not demure, not cutesy, and very there's something wrong with me. That's the lens that I looked through it. Now that I'm healed and now learning to cultivate